Shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Rahakodash. This lesson is going to be titled The Hour of Temptation, which the hour of temptation goes to, the time of Jacob's trouble, where we're going to be tested, of our faith in the Lord. With these trials and tribulations that we have to go through. Which for the 2/3, they already fell into temptation already. They're set to fall into temptation. But the 1/3, they're gonna be the ones to endure to the end, man. No matter how testing it might be, the faithful are gonna be the ones to resist. Because they're the people of the Lord. They're who the Lord wants to deliver out of here. But let me just start off at 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. See, because how they're gonna push the MOTB. It's gonna be all digital and everything. You're gonna force everyone to get digital ID, which will make it more convenient for them to get the MOTB infused with it. So it's like 2 in 1. You carry your ID everywhere. With your hand, pretty much. But like it says, we're not ignorant of his devices. We know what Esau is doing. We see his setup. We see his structured and game that he's planning behind the scenes. Because we're diligent, man. We're seeking, we're seeing all the chaos that's happening here, and the prophets and and the believers should be diligent in seeking, looking at what Esau's doing, what they're coming up with, what type of plans are they coming up, especially with the, digital ID and everything. So we can't be ignorant of his devices. We gotta, do our search, do our study. Keep a guard out, keep an eye open. But like as I said, we see, the schemes that Esau is planning to put into the masses and, really trick them. Next, let me get Psalms 137 and 8. Okay. Psalm 137 and 8. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. That's what's going to happen, man. Like, the Lord's going to be happy, to destroy this place, man. After what Esau has done to us, it's going to be done right back unto him. So the judgment is stacking up on him, on Esau. So no matter all their schemes and bullshit they pull, everything is all going to be judged in the end, because the Lord is going to bring them down so hard where, they're not going to rise back up, man. They're going to be down. They're going to be down for the count. Because they had no mercy on us. They're, always working us harshly, every single day, we're the ones who, really change things around here, like in Babylon. And yet, no credit goes to Jake. Esau has shown their hatred, by dismissing Jake. So, all the suffering and everything, it's all going to go back to him. Going to bite his ass. Okay, next, let me get Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, and to the sea, and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. See, so Esau is moving quickly to push his digital ID. That's why you see all the advancement in tech so much. The the 6G towers and all that. You see all the investment in tech and all these data centers and everything, and it's so they can push a digital ID onto you easily. Because right now, we're not really seeing the MOTB, really forcing everything right now, but they're setting it up where, it's gonna back, everything's gonna back, the digital ID. And when that happens, people start going into it, and then it's gonna be convenient, and quickly it's gonna be forced, otherwise you're not gonna be able to get any food or anything. No, you're gonna not be able to get no water, no, supplies you need, no tools, gas, whatever. They're not gonna sell it to you unless you take it. Go into Revelation 13 and 16. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hands or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. They won't let you have or do anything once you take this thing. So they're pretty much gonna, starve you out to death. And that's the hour temptation, that we're talking about here. It's gonna be testing your faith in the Lord. Because we're not gonna be able to, get supplies and, be steady like that. We're not gonna be able to eat every single day. Not go out every week. Not, get something to drink or anything like it's not gonna be convenient. It's like it's not gonna be convenient and around the corner, like anymore. You gotta find your water, and the only way to do that is by the Lord. The Lord was gonna guide you through this trouble. And Esau's already setting up steps, ahead of time, so that way it can be forwarded quick. So that's why you need to receive this word quickly. Next, let me get Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. See, so the hour of temptation is going to test everyone. So, no matter where you are in the world, it's going to affect you. You can't go anywhere where it's not going to be affected by this. And like I said, you don't take it, you're not going to be able to really survive out here. You're not going to be able to have some, enjoyment, like as far as like services, like, phones or anything. They'll probably cut that off unless you have the digital ID. So you're gonna be cut off from, the rest of the world, if you don't take it. And that's the hour of temptation we're talking about. And not just that too, all sorts of trouble, just like shootings and everything, like there's gonna be so much things going on, a lot of chaos that people are gonna want to set themselves under Esau so that way they can survive. That's how bad it's gonna be, man. Even though they know who Esau is and what he does. That's the temptation we're talking about here. The faithful, the faithful is gonna endure. So we gotta be We gotta pray that we are the hopeful elect, to be delivered out of here, to withstand the hour of temptation, withstand Jacob's trouble. Next, let me get Proverbs 1:22. How long, ye simple ones, will you love simplicity, and the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge? Exactly. So 2/3 Israelites are just so simple. They don't really even examine themselves or how they think right now. They think, what they're doing is normal. But no, man, the people of the world, y'all need to really change your mindset on things. Step back out of the world for a second. That's what you need to do. Because, you're so stuck into the world that, you can't change your mindset. So before the hour of temptation even starts, you're already going to fail because you're already part of the world, man. You didn't cut yourself off of it. And so to those who are simple-minded, y'all gonna fail instantly as soon as it starts, man. And let me get a precept. Oh wait, it's just down here. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose to fear Yahweh. Exactly. So to those who get destroyed along with this world, they didn't fear Yahweh. They loved the world, so they stayed with the world. So they're gonna be part of the world and die with it. Next, let me get Jeremiah 4:22. For my people is foolish, they have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have no understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good, they have no knowledge. This is how the 2/3 J are, man. They don't have, the wisdom to do good, but they love evil. It's just like an instinct for, these people of the world, man. And that's why if you don't see no issues, in the world, then you're gonna be stuck with it. Next, let me get Revelation 14. Nine. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, which indignation is righteous judgment. Righteous judgment, man. So the Lord has, isn't, going to bring you down because, you're good or anything, or it's not going to be like an evil deed for him to do that. No, it's going to be just. Because you fell off, you served Esau, you're praising, these idols and everything. You're not serving the Lord, you're serving yourself. Which pretty much means you're serving demons. Because, you really can't control yourself. Ultimately, the Lord that has control on everything. If you're not coming to the Lord, for that, then you're not coming to the Lord for help. Then you're set for destruction, man. To the one who controls everything, you're not gonna listen to him. That's foolishness. Okay, let me just read number 10 again. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. In the smoke of their torment. Oh, wait, no, that was it. That was it. Okay, well, next I got one more. Revelation 21 and 8. But the fearful and unbelieving and abominable and murderers and whoremongers and sorcerers and idolaters and all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. So that's what's gonna happen, man. Part of this world, you know, you're if you're listed here, pretty much, you know, you're gonna be you're gonna be part of the second death. It's the first death was the flood. Second death is, you know, it's gonna be by a nuclear fire, you know, or a different fire, you know, chariots. The angel's gonna be here. But if you know, but pretty much if you're part of this world, you know, you're not gonna pass the hour of temptation, man. So those you need to be faithful to the end, man, to endure, no matter how hard it gets. And with that, I want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Hakodash. And to the next time, I'm going to say Shalom.